The Trump administration continues to show all of us that atop their agenda is their war on journalism and press, any press that might cover them truthfully and critically. Donald Trump's henchman at the FCC, Brendan Carr, made clear that he views the Trump administration's attempted takeover of the media as a success story. Watch.
President Trump took on the fake news media, and President Trump is winning. Look at the results so far. PBS defunded, NPR defunded, Joy Reid gone from MSNBC, Sleepy Eyes Chuck Todd gone, Jim Acosta gone, John Dickerson gone, Colbert is leaving, CBS is under new ownership, and soon enough CNN is going to have new ownership as well. So we're not...
So this is significant.
We're not at the point yet, raising the mission accomplished flag, but President Trump is taking on the fake news media, and President Trump is winning.
As if we needed another reminder that we do not live in normal times. That is something that in normal times you would never hear the head of the agency tasked with enforcing the country's media laws say. As Status News reports, quote, the administration views the news media not as an institution to be protected, but as an enemy to be silenced and controlled. And that is exactly what they're doing. Carr wasn't speaking hypothetically or abstractly. He was boasting about a deliberate, politically motivated campaign to reward allies and punish critics. For the first time, the FCC chairman made clear that the free speech he claims to protect is being wielded as a tool in a partisan battle over who controls the nation's most powerful media platforms. Joining me at the table, Oliver Darcy. He's the author of the newsletter Status, which covers all things media. Tim Miller is here as well. There's something disarming about the way they say it out loud and make that list, right? Like that's a list that autocracy and democracy watchers might assemble. They make it and then repurpose it for political gain at CPAC.
He just says the quiet part out loud at CPAC on the stage. It's obviously highly disturbing because this isn't how, things are supposed to operate in a free country. The FCC chairman is supposed to be even-handed in the way he enforces policy, Nicole. But, it's somewhat chilling at the same time because he's not entirely wrong there either. Mm-hmm. When he lists these things that have happened, a lot of it does stem from the pressure that Donald Trump and Brendan Carr have placed on these news organizations. And so, I'm watching this clip of Brendan Carr and I'm thinking, you know what? It's obviously very disturbing. It's really, frankly, un-American what they're doing. But also a lot of these news organizations, a lot of these media organizations have bowed to pressure and they have, defunded public media. They have done these things. It's just jarring to hear them brag about it as if it's a good thing. And, what's also surprising as well is they were supposed to be the free speech White House. What happened to that? Brendan Carr is boasting that he's, censoring or at least attempting to chill speech in this country. And this is coming from the free speech president.
I mean, the entire war against social media companies was around this issue of free speech. And Ted Cruz and Charlie Kirk and Tucker Carlson were its vanguards.
Do you remember the Twitter files? I'm old enough to remember the Twitter files. Yeah. And that whole thing was about government pressuring a private company to police speech. And this is exactly what they're doing right now. I mean, it's just not happening in secret. They're not quietly doing this. They are loudly doing this. They're thumping their chests as they attempt to scare news organizations and media companies away from coverage that's going to be critical of Donald Trump. I mean, we've talked about this on your show. The fact that they've gone after comedians on late night programs, there are no ends to this. They really like to censor critics. That's what it comes down to. They do not believe in free speech.
Tim, we have a lot of these conversations about the watchful eye I keep on the manosphere. It is harder to find a defender inside sort of those late arrivers that you talked about than it is to find a critic. Do you think that they will, it's an applause line at CPAC to say, they defunded PBS and they took these sort of normal journalists off the air. Do you think it will extend if their censorship extends into one's friendly terrain?
I don't think so. I don't know. We'll see where the blowback comes from. I think in some ways there is this overlap between people we've been talking about, the crowd that was anti-war, that cared about the Epstein files. They also said, at least, that they cared about free speech. that is different from the CPAC crowd. That is different from the people that have put on the Trump hat and are going to cheer everything. But I do. It should be chilling. It is chilling what he's doing. I mean, you're not really even supposed to know who the head of the FCC is. It's like not really a great sign of what the FCC chair is up to if you know who that person is and can name them. And
like that, we've got a Brendan Carr beat reporters. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I mean, you worked in the Bush administration. Can you name the FCC chair for the Bush administration? I'd be impressed if you could. Yeah, exactly. I don't know, but that's the point, because their bureaucrats are doing a job. They're trying to make sure that people don't break the laws. That's not what this is. Shouting about sleepy eyes Chuck Todd on a partisan stage is insane, and it is authoritarian, and it is a threat. And, I think that these guys should probably be a little bit concerned about where this goes, because I think if the Democrats ever take back power, and if you look at the way that they have corruptly consolidated media, the way that the algorithms are being abused by Elon Musk on X or by the Ellison family potentially, we'll see with the purchase of TikTok, the lies that are being spread on some of these outlets like Newsmax and Fox. I mean, the Democrats in the past have pulled a lot of punches on this in the spirit of free speech, because they want to protect free speech. And these guys are changing the rules of the game in a way that I think is pretty ominous and I think might actually boomerang back on them.
I mean, their tools, though, are conventional. And right now, their biggest political problem is that if you add up the listeners of Joe Rogan, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, and Sean Ryan, it's more than Fox News on Fox's best day. I mean, do you see them expanding the censorship to other platforms?
I don't know. I mean, you can't rule anything out with Brendan Carr. I do think it's a problem for him, though, because there are, as Tim has been saying, there are a lot of people that did support the president and have turned against him in some ways. And I think the free speech thing was a really defining principle for them. Like, we are free speech absolutists. This was a whole thing, like lighting up the right.
I remember.
For many years. It wasn't just something that came. And Donald Trump embraced it, and it kind of helped him get elected, but now he's really betrayed that principle. And I do wonder, like the people, like when Joe Rogan is constantly railing against you, that is not without an effect. And we haven't seen it entirely yet. I think we'll see it during the midterms. But like this stuff does have political consequences. People do listen to what Joe Rogan is saying. And I don't know, if I were the president and his political advisors, I'd be very worried about losing that crowd.
Yeah, and it does. It cross-pressures them completely. That is sort of the First Amendment crowd.